Good morning, this is Deepak. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. I want to take today's podcast as an opportunity to address the fallout that occurred as a result of a wonderful interview I did with Alexandra Clinton at salon.com. She was amazingly insightful, and we did many sections in that interview, one on stress management, one on happiness, but the last part of the interview actually focused on you are the universe and discovering your cosmic self and why it matters. And you can join the discussion here as well. So I was very happy with the interview because it gave me an opportunity to speak about the entire universe as a human construct, and the headline was pretty kind of attention grabbing, the headline on the video, because it basically said Deepak Chopra says we may be asking the wrong kind of questions, that the entire world is a human construct. Obviously, the interview generated a lot of dialogue and a lot of conversation. You can go to salon.com for the interview with Alexandra Clinton and see for your own self all the questions that came up and all the comments that came up. So there were basically two kinds of comments. A lot of people who basically were agreeing with what I had said, and a number of people very angry. Some people even saying that salon.com should be ashamed for having a charlatan like Deepak Chopra on their site. Others calling me an idiot. Many others calling me stupid. Many others saying that I was mixing scientific terms about which I knew nothing, on and on. But the most of the ad hominem comments came from people who thought they were very intellectual, and that an intellectual site like salon.com should not have me as a guest. And there was a lot of anger expressed, including by some physicist friends, including Jack Sarfati, with whom I have ongoing dialogue, where there is a disagreement a lot of times. So as a response to the comments and the controversy and the conversation generated on salon.com, I thought I should actually use this as an opportunity to address some very important questions and some very important topics. First of all, let's go to the dictionary and look at the definition of science. So here is what I think we would all agree on a good definition of science: the intellectual and practical activity that encompasses the systematic study of the structure of the physical universe and natural world through observation and experiment. Okay, so that's a very good definition of science. We can come back to it. And then I looked up the definition also for your sake of what is called scientism. So scientism is defined as the excessive belief in the power of scientific knowledge, and it is the characteristic of some scientists. Not all scientists, but some scientists. So you can see that science is an activity. It's an intellectual and practical activity. It encompasses the systematic study of the structure of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. Notice that in this definition, science is not defined as a methodology for knowing the truth, only as an intellectual and practical activity and a systematic study of the structure of the physical and natural world as we observe it and through experimentation. Furthermore, science is also defined as knowledge of any kind. Scientism, on the other hand, is an ideology. It's like fundamental religion or anything else, where you have firm faith in a particular ideology or a system of thought as fundamental truth. Now, in my interview, I was making the point that the entire universe is a human construct. And those of you who are familiar with my book, as well as familiar with the many conversations that we've had here, I have maintained that everything that we call everyday reality, including our body and mind, and the universe is a human construct around fundamental experiences in the form of sense perceptions, images, feelings, and thoughts. And these constructs are in human consciousness around experiences in human consciousness. So what's a construct? A construct is a story, is a model of reality. Today, if you ask any scientist who's worth their salt, they'll say that science is based on a particular model of reality through particular methodology. And so even Stephen Hawking, who wrote a book with one of my co-authors in the past, Leonard Malodnow, called Grand Design, very early in the discussion of reality in their book, Grand Design, Hawking and Malodnow state that what they're describing is a model of reality. Okay, not reality. So what is reality? What could reality be? What could fundamental reality be? It could only be that in which these models are conceived and constructed. And to start off, I would say that that could only be the awareness in which experience happens around which those models are constructed. And that awareness is the fundamental ground of all experience. It's also the ground of thoughts and perceptions, and it's also where we then construct the models. So fundamental reality is awareness and its activities, such as sense perceptions, images, feelings, thoughts, and the stories that we construct around those thoughts. It does not in any way denigrate the scientific method and the model making that the scientific method allows us to do so that we can create technologies that are useful. But to say that science is the only way to know reality and that it is a method of knowing reality is to engage in scientism, which is not science. It is an ideology. It's like fundamentalist religion, for that matter. I also noticed that all the comments that were actually arguing against my point of view never actually made any scientific statements other than ad hominem, like stupid, foolish, idiot, charlatan, etc. Be that as it may, but now let's address this controversy, since it has been generated. And I once again want to thank Salon.com for having given me the opportunity to talk about You Are the Universe and also to engage in this conversation. So here is what I'd like to say. Very important point. Let us understand clearly that no system of thought, whether it is science or religion or theology or philosophy, actually gives us access to reality. All systems of thought create a certain model of reality. And so ideas like God, gravity, space-time, energy, information, mind, body, universe, these are words to describe modes of knowing, modes of experience, and then interpretation of those modes of experience that create constructs or models of reality. We do not understand on a physical basis how thought is generated. We do not understand how molecules or electrochemical information in the brain creates a thought. And yet we rely on thought and rational thought, as we call it, to argue with each other, not knowing where thought comes from. That's one point to make. We do not have a biological basis for any experience, not just for thoughts, but for perceptions, for imagination, for creativity, for what we call knowledge. All knowledge is based on knowing, and all knowing occurs in awareness. Without awareness, there is no knowing. So even though we may be extremely rational in our thought process, not knowing where thought comes from, we cannot rely on this so-called rational thought to give us a true picture of reality, because we have to know where thought comes from before we address the system of thought. And for lack of a better word, I say thought is an excitation or a mode of knowing in awareness. Where else can thought be? Thought arises in awareness. Thought is a modified form of awareness. So awareness is prior to thought. I know many people are familiar with the saying of Descartes, I think therefore I am, but actually it's not quite true, because I am precedes before I am this thought, before I am this feeling, before I am this emotion, and before I am this perception. Now, I also noticed that many people talk about the laws of nature as if they were independent of our experience of the regularities of nature. Just understand that even the expression laws of nature is a human construct around the regularities of experience in consciousness. So that's a very important point to understand, that the laws of nature is a human construct, just like the body-mind is a human construct. Many people think of body-mind as the subject of experience, and then the rest of the universe as the object of experience. But the body-mind is not the subject of experience. The body-mind is also an object of experience, just like the universe is, just like this book is, just like this hand is, just like this paper is. The body-mind is as much a human construct as paper, as book, as pencil. It's a human construct. The mind is a human construct based on the experience of thought and emotion and imagination. See, we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have imagination, and then we create a concept. There's some space somewhere that we are having this experience. Let's call it mind. Similarly, when you look at your body, your hand, or what we call the body, the fundamental experience is just a sensation, a smell, a taste, a texture, a sound, and then there's a construct around it. This is my body. That is your body. And soon we have a construct, mind and body. Just like we have a construct book. As I said in my salon.com interview, if a baby or a puppy was given this, it would try to eat it and smell it and taste it and decide whether it's a pleasurable experience or not. And then all that it would experience is its own awareness in the form of sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. And then they would be later told that this is a book, and this is you, this body-mind is you, and that body-mind is someone else, and that is the universe. And we create a human universe, a human construct around all experiences, all experiences. Estelle writes, says, I'm puzzled about evolution. Evolution of species, short answer, is evolution of species of consciousness. We'll come later to this in another discussion. But let's stay with this, that mind, body, universe, book, piece of paper are constructs. Okay, they're stories around fundamental experiences of, as Rina Marcia Garcia Allen is saying, SIFT, the acronym SIFT, S-I-F-T, sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, which themselves are excitations of awareness. They occur in awareness, they are known in awareness, they are interpreted in awareness, and ultimately they are made out of awareness, and they disappear in awareness. Just get rid of the idea that the body-mind is the subject of experience. Thoughts are objects of experience. Emotions are objects of experience. You can observe emotions. You can observe thoughts. You can observe sense perceptions. You can be a silent witness to sound. Or Neeta asks, do you have any books on the afterlife? I do have a book on that. It's called Life After Death. You can look it up. But remember, if God is a construct, then what we call life is also a construct around the experience of what we experience as sense perceptions and interpretations of those sense perceptions as a body-mind. If body-mind is a construct, universe is a construct, then God is a construct. God as we think of God is a construct. Only awareness is reality, and awareness is not your personal property, because awareness is the fundamental consciousness in which all experience occurs, including the experience of individual knowers, individual modes of knowing, and individual known objects, which are basically mental objects called thoughts or feelings, and perceptual objects called physical objects, or the physical world, or the physical body. Dana Bartagnelli says, just bought You Are the Universe on Audible, can't wait to listen. Well, give me your feedback after you have listened. So, anything that we can name, anything that we can describe in language, is a construct around experience. We can only know our experience. If there's a reality outside of experience, then thank you, Dana. Do give me your feedback. If there is a reality outside of experience, then by definition it is unknowable. What we know is experience. And also do remember that what we know is human experience based on the limitations of knowing as the species of consciousness that is called Homo sapiens, the wise ones, a name we gave to ourselves. Okay. Bharati Udeshi, names and forms are experiences. Yes, perfect. Names and forms are experiences. Anything that you can name or describe or that has a form is an experience in the unseen awareness, which is the subject of experience. So, what is the object of experience? Thought, emotions, sense perceptions, then interpreted as mind, body, universe. Okay, so for all these people who have been cursing me on the salon.com website, I would suggest that you get a little understanding of what is called ontology. Ontology is the nature of being. And if your ontology is physicalist, then you should know that that which we call matter is also an experience in our awareness. Matter is an experience, and it's an experience of shape, form, color, texture, solidity, hardness, softness. Matter is an experience. Even scientists today don't think of matter as a noun or a thing. They think of matter as an activity of subatomic particles, an activity of possibility waves, and ultimately an activity of nothingness. All so-called matter arises and subsides as experience in the formless nothingness, in which all form is experienced. In fact, all form is a modification for experience. And so for all those who are angry, ask why you're angry. And if you want to engage in discussion, then do it without ad hominem, because that's a distraction. Get into a civilized, courteous discussion with respect, good manners, politeness, deference, and maybe we can all learn from each other. So when people ask me, am I an atheist? And I say, no, that's an ideology. If I am belonging to some kind of religion, no, that's also an ideology. I do read a lot of philosophy because I want to understand what is ontology, the fundamental nature of being that we assume, some of us, is physical, and some of us that is non-physical has awareness. I want to understand what is epistemology, the limitations and the methods by which we know what we know. So when we use words like God, then we start to define that, and as soon as we start to define that, make an image, again, then we have created another construct. Why do we engage in this? Because, constructs are useful and constructs are destructive. Scientism as an ideology is destructive. It leads to the same kind of arguments and hostility and recriminations as fundamentalist religion. Scientism, I said, is destructive. And on the other hand, science as the practical and intellectual activity and the systematic study of experiences that we call the natural and physical world is very useful. It gets us into the ability to create technologies which can be useful, but which can also be, as I've said many times before, destructive. So climate change and mechanized death and global warming and an extinction of species and poison in the food chain and all the things that we're doing right now to possibly cause our extinction are the modern capacities that come from the ability to do science. It's not the fault of science, it's the fault of our own lack of evolution into the nature of reality, which should include both that which we observe, but also a deeper understanding of who observes, who or what it is that wants to know, who or what it is that wants to know. And I think there is freedom in being independent of all constructs and experiencing oneself as pure awareness in which there is the ability to create constructs. Okay, science cannot tell me the meaning or purpose of my existence. Science cannot tell me how to love more, or how to have a good relationship, or how to even be understanding of the nature of wonder, the nature of curiosity, the nature of yearning and longing to know who am I, what do I want, what's my purpose, what am I grateful for. So all my friends who are getting angry and calling me a charlatan, stupid, idiot, and calling salon.com to be shamed because they interviewed me, look at your own self and ask, what is creating this fear and this anger and this hostility? And then join us in conversations in all these places where we can discuss things, social networks, and so much there where we can engage in so many opportunities. Twitter, Facebook, sites like salon.com. I really congratulate them for bringing a controversial figure like me and having the courage to do that and to be open-minded. Unless we are open-minded, we become fundamentalists. We become just like other ideologues that are basically creating distress in the world. Nisa Rivera says, why are you feeding in their negativity? No, I'm not feeding into their negativity. I'm expanding the conversation, and I think we need to, without getting personally offended. So it's very important right now that if we are insulted and called names like stupid, idiot, charlatan, con man, then we not take that personally. Because if you take it personally, then again we are resorting to identifying with a construct that is called the ego. And so let's engage in this conversation with open-mindedness and with understanding and expand the conversation. Thank you once again, Alexandra Clinton and Salon.com, for inviting me there. I urge people to go to their website and look at all the wonderful conversations that are occurring there. I also encourage you to go to salon.com and participate in this particular conversation around this particular topic. Is the universe a human construct? You tell me. Let's engage in this conversation. Okay? So let's go there, and let's be easy about it, and let's engage with, as I said, without anger, animosity, recrimination, defensiveness, and hostility. I hope you'll continue this conversation on discoveringyourcosmicself.com, and also come to salon.com and engage in this conversation, particularly the video that Alexandra Clinton has put out, which is about is reality a human construct? Is science the best way to get closer to truth?